Well, South Africa have shown us once again why they're the prime contenders for this grand title we were talking about. We also spoke about zooming cars. They've zoomed past New Zealand and won by 190 runs. They just managed to do this very comprehensively every time they score 300 plus runs. But yet another clinical win. Maharaj getting 4 wickets, Jansen getting 3, Coetzee getting 2. Everyone performing for South Africa. We are back at Cricbuzz Live and I have Joyda and DK with me. DK, we had to eat very quickly. Everything's happened very quickly today, but South Africa is going to be a happy team.
South Africa also did things very quickly with the bat and with the ball. Looks like they were in a hurry to get back to the hotel. What a performance. When you're looking at title contenders, at this point of time, you will say South Africa and India look very, very, very auspicious right now, if I can say that. Australia are doing really well. They have momentum, but I still feel South Africa is playing some solid cricket, especially if the teams decide to put them in first to bat. And they're playing some lovely cricket. It suits them. The way they are on the field, we are always aware how good they can be with the field. But most importantly, I think the key players for South Africa are standing up, and that's going to always count for a lot in a tournament like a World Cup.
But Joyda, you agree with what DK is saying. They've done everything right. With the bat, the power play in the beginning, they were cautious. Like we've spoken about their business model, they've gone about it in a very clinical way. Did it with the bat, came out with the ball, very good in the power play again, and then just finished it off very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. They're ticking all the boxes. And, except for, I think Ngidi didn't get wickets, everyone got wickets. Everybody bowled well. They fielded decently, they bowled well. So, they're giving you a package. Their new ball bowlers are giving them wickets. Their middle over bowlers are coming in. Coetzee is doing exactly what he's done throughout this tournament, get wickets very fast. And then Maharaj had a virtuoso bowling performance. I mean, if you look at the bowling, what Maharaj did, it's supposed to be in the evening, it's slightly more difficult to bowl. He bowled beautifully. And just seeing that team performance, it just, as a team batting first, it looks an outfit which is very, very, very difficult to
I think it's important that we state at the outset of the show itself that we have got the pitch reading very, very wrong. In the morning with the bat, we said it'll be hard. They score 350. We said it'll get better to bat on. They've gotten all out very, very less, and the ball was turning properly. So it's a pitch where, it's a match where the pitch is definitely not played according to yours and my feelings as to how it will behave.
But our feelings were based on what Sir Ponting said. So our feelings weren't based on what he said. But Joyda, we spoke about it as well, that we thought that you said the first things, the pitch wasn't looking as easy as it looks like. But clearly, it looked like South Africa were playing on different tracks, the tracks that they were choosing on, because when they batted, it looked very easy. When they bowled, the ball was turning, it was bouncing, it was carrying much more. So everything going right for them.
I think, look, the two things about it is if you see that run rate, I mean, they kept it up there, but they were losing wickets. And the moment you lose wickets against them up front, what's the big difference? That's 0. There's 2 wickets there in the first stage, 0 wickets there in the second stage, 0 wickets there in the third stage for South Africa. And look at them. They've lost 8 wickets in that same period. And that really is the difference. That the way that they consistently got wickets. 2 things. One is that Marco Jansen will always get more bounce than anybody else. I mean, just with his height and the way he bowls, he's going to get more bounce. So it's not that Bolt didn't bowl well. I thought Bolt was actually pretty good. But Jansen, with the bounce he has, and with a huge total behind you, it's very, very difficult. So at some point in time, they were also caught between playing cautiously or going for their shots, if you remember, DK. Yes. And they thought that they didn't take a few chances. And then if you start playing defensive at that stage, you're going to get one ball, which is a Jaffa, and then if you're out, you're out. And I think that's what happened to a lot of the New Zealanders.
We'll have a look at the bowling card because it's a very pretty bowling card. Like Joyda said, everyone's gotten wickets besides Ngidi, where he didn't. But Rabada got his 1, Coetzee got 2. Maharaj, like we spoke, the ball was turning. It was coming out beautifully from his hand. But DK Jansen started it off really well. And again, South Africa have done it in the power play. So it just puts so much pressure on a team when you manage to get those quick wickets in the power play.
Against South Africa, you have to be wary at the start. Play good shots, but don't try too much to hit those boundaries because these 2 bowlers, Ngidi and Jansen, are bowling a length where it could be hard to get under the ball a lot. So, you got to be very wary of that. And the extra bounce that they get, what Joyda spoke about, when Jansen, because of the height that he delivers it from, you're always going to get those those brilliant balls as an opener that you don't want to get. So it's understandable why Marco Jansen has been the highest wicket taker in the power play. You know, there is no doubt that he's been the best bowler in terms of striking in the power play. He's been brilliant. I thought Ngidi bowled well also at the start. But the star of the show, Keshav Maharaj. But now speaking about Marco Jansen, what I really liked was he's not only bringing the ball back into the right-hander, but for the left-hander also he's bringing the ball back in. And the wicket that he got of Devon Conway was a great example. Set him up beautifully, out, out, out. And then on release, Devon Conway looks at it and thinks, oh wow, it's going outside the off-stump. So he lines up for the cut and the ball comes in. And you know, the extra bounce, you don't have nowhere to go in many ways. So quite the dismissal. And as a player, when you worked on a certain area, which is in Marco Jansen's case, the ball coming into the left-hander, and you get results out of that, then it makes you feel vindicated for the work that you've put in over a period of time.
Joyda, you know, DK spoke about in the com box as well, and again spoke about it very beautifully, talking about the bounce is inevitable when it comes from that height, but also how he sets up batsmen very well, and it just comes on so quickly. But as a batter, what does one do? Because like he said, they're playing for the one going out, and then the one that comes in at that speed, it's unplayable.
No, absolutely. And he, as I said, you know, it's another DK technical masterclass.
Yes.
I love listening to him because he says it with so much passion and he makes it so simple, where it's a rather complex action. But no, there was one thing that, again, when there was one loose ball earlier, which he could have gone for, okay? But the point is, at that point, you're thinking that I don't want to lose early wickets. So what happens to a lot of times is that the ball, when he gives you that one ball to hit, you're still scared of going for that shot because you're scared that, you know, it's too early, I don't want to take a chance. And then you put yourself into a corner. And then once you get stuck on the back foot with bowlers like South Africa, they're going to really trouble you because you're not looking to attack them. Therefore, they're bowling the length they want. See, always with batsmen and bowlers, especially in one-day international cricket, a lot of batsmen try to dictate the length the bowler will bowl at. People like Brendan McCullum will walk at you, Hayden would walk at you, he'd do all sorts of things, move around in his crease. But it's not that you need to do it that early in a match, and especially in a 50-over match, but they did nothing to alter the length of Jansen. And Jansen just bowled it beautifully in that area.
But DK is a very interesting point that Joyda is talking about. Like he said, there's some kind of strategy that one goes in. So if you have to counter attack, do you give that role to somebody, or especially with a target like this? When you go into bat, when you have such a high target to chase, do you say let's play it slowly, set ourselves in, or let someone come and just derail the bowler, which didn't happen today?
It has to happen organically. If you have a batting lineup that organically does that, and what I mean by that is, let's take India for example. Rohit Sharma is the enforcer. It's very obvious. Let's take South Africa for that as an example. More often than not, Quinton de Kock is the enforcer. In New Zealand's case, Devon Conway and Will Young are more from the...
Both of them are the same.
Both are
Similar.
steady, very similar. Rachin Ravindra, when he gets going, is the enforcer because he can hit boundaries of good balls. It's a beautiful point that Joyda has come about. So if you see when they showed the video of Marco Jansen bowling the left-arm medium pace and how he set it up. So when he was bowling out, there was one that was just outside the off-stump, slightly short, which Devon Conway will go to cut the ball and then just let it go. Because as an opener, he is thinking that, okay, he's swinging the ball, there is bounce, let me assess my conditions, because he's somebody who makes up quickly and he needs X amount of time to do it. More often than not, in the first 20, 25 balls, he's probably somewhere around 10 to 15. Now, in that period, when you let that ball go and then you get a ball like the one you got out, so the moment you see the line, you feel like you need to play a big shot because it feels like it's outside the off stump, but the skill of the bowler gets you out. So this is where Marco Jansen is so good. He is able to set up batsmen because he's now able to swing both ways with his release being there. So if the batsman has an aggressive frame of mind, he induces the mistake. Whereas if Devon Conway was batting first, I can promise you would have probably left that ball go or just come back and just defended it. So now when you're in the mindset to score those boundaries, Marco Jansen becomes that much more attacking as a bowler. And that is the big difference for South Africa. The batsman's mindset is what is making South Africa so successful in the power play.
You know, DK, there is Jansen, there's Coetze who's done so well, there's Rabada who comes as the first change, but the star of today's bowling again has been Maharaj. And Joyda, you spoke about how he's been so consistent, yet again he's gotten 4 wickets. We spoke about how it was coming out of his hands so well today, and then of course the pitch was assistant.
Absolutely, and the way he bowled, I mean, it's not that the pitch was turning a lot, there was a little bit of pitch, there was a little bit of bounce on offer, there's a little bit of turn, but he bowled beautifully, and that's exactly the point, that again, what he did very well was give them nothing to hit. And moment you give them nothing to hit, they are going to induce mistakes. So, the first shot straight up in the air, the catch that went. And that is exactly what he does so well. And if you see the list of finger spinners, I mean, there have been a lot in this tournament. But at this point in time, he and Santner are looking a class above the rest in terms of what they're delivering consistently to their team. And I think that is one of the keys to them, that with Kwedze bowling well and Maharaj bowling well, the pressure never lets off. Because what have you got? You're coming on with Ngidi and Jansen. Then Rabada comes in. And then you have Kwedze and, So what is happening is this is a bowling attack that is giving opponents nothing away. And the only way to go against this bowling attack is to counter-attack seriously. And in fact, the one team that did that really well was Sri Lanka in the first match. If you remember, I think it was Nisanka or
and Kusal
Mendes who went completely berserk and really attacked them. That's the only way to get at them.
But also, having said that, Joyda, it was easier for Sri Lanka to do it because of the pitch. Delhi outfield and the Delhi pitch. Delhi pitch is not having so much bounce. So on conditions where there's not much bounce, like in Kolkata, if the pitch is good, they will get hit a little bit. Whereas in Bombay, they'll be quite a team to contend with because of the extra bounce that they get. Because their fast bowlers naturally have bounce, and you add extra bounce to that, it becomes really hard to deal with them.
But we'll have a look at New Zealand's batting guard, because we spoke about someone counter-attacking the South African bowlers and no one really did that. DK spoke about Rachin being that one person who could, even Daryl Mitchell is an attacking player, but unfortunately none of them really came up and did that, and then it was a little too late by the time Phillips came in.
If I have to be honest, it definitely is not a 350 pitch. It is something that was way out of their hands at the start of it. Like Joyda said, he gave 70-30, and you can understand why, because it felt like a pitch where 270, 280 was more par. It was going to take time for you to come and settle in. The openers, obviously, Will Young got going a lot better, but even he wasn't hitting convincing boundaries. He had a couple of edges that went past the slip, and it was not a knock that was filled with confidence. He played a couple of lovely shots. I mean, make no mistake about that. But it was not where you felt that, he was just going to tear away the bowlers and take the team across. It was a pitch that felt very difficult because most of the batters today actually got out to good balls. It wasn't like pressure was created because of dot balls and they ended up playing a big shot. You take, be it Daryl Mitchell, you take the wicket that Kwesi got, Devon Conway, if you take both the left-arm left-handers who got out to Keshav Maharaj, all the wickets, Tom Latham a little bit, but overall the wickets were taken by the bowlers. And I think that tells you the pitch was not easy to bat on. All the bowlers were looking to do is hit good lengths and good areas, and things were happening off the pitch. So if I look at that batting scorecard, yes, it paints a very sorry picture, but it is very understandable why they've given away probably 80 runs above par, and they were always going to be behind the 8 ball. Just 3 players getting into double figures. Will Young, Daryl Mitchell and Glenn Phillips. Daryl Mitchell has probably been their best batsman across the tournament so far, and he's been consistent, but Devon Conway has in a way tapered off a bit. Rachin Ravindra is batting beautifully, didn't get going. Glenn Phillips got the runs against Afghanistan, but today again he's got runs, but he knows it was a nothing situation in many ways. As a batter, that's just a great place to be in if you want to get your runs, because the team is not expecting anything. Just try and hit as much as you can, and that's why Maharaj's figures is also skewed. He was 8 overs close to 20 runs, and then last 2 overs he got tapped a bit with Glenn Phillips, and understandable. But overall, it was a day which was completely dominated by South Africa just after that toss, and the decision at the toss is something they would look back and say, have you made a mistake there?
DK is someone who might not have gotten predictions right, but he knows what I'm going to ask next. Because I was going to ask you, Joyda, is that in hindsight, do you think they went wrong with the toss? Because it was almost like they were playing into South Africa's...
It's very interesting because we were having this discussion before that what do you do with a team? Do you play to your strengths or their strengths? Okay. And the fact of it is, normal wisdom says play to your own strengths. But there's one thing that I want to tell you. South Africa's strength in batting first is disproportionate. Normally if you say that, okay, there's a team which is 60% better batting first, 40% chasing, South Africa is like an 80-20 team, where if they bat first, they're that much better. They're really good batting first. So taking it away from them is putting questions in their head, which even because you've lost one match chasing against Netherlands, and the other one you won by the skin of your teeth. You won by a single wicket. Keshav Maharaj finally got you through. Okay, you could have easily lost that match. So there are doubts in your mind. And when a team is this different, Like with a team like India, if I'm playing against India, I'd say that India are decent batting first, they're decent chasers as well. Okay, I'd rather they not chase, I'd rather make them bat first, but I'll also think of my strength. What is my strength? If it's South Africa, I wouldn't think. I'd never allow them to bat first. And that's my...
It's actually brilliant. If at all India and South Africa play, which is going to happen in Kolkata very, very soon, South Africa have a very easy decision. No matter what the pitch is, they're going to bat first. India is the one that has to think whether they want to bat first or bowl first. That they have a decision to make. For South Africa, I think from here on until the end of the tournament, it is a very simple, straightforward decision.
Well, I'd like to share this with everyone watching. Is just before we started, DK was doing this game with us and questioning us whether if it's a India-South Africa game in Ahmedabad, who would you go with? Will it be India? If India wins the toss, will they put South Africa to bat or will India bat first? Joyda, you said that we should play to the the opponent's weakness.
Because it's such a glaring difference. The reason I believe it's not generally true. I feel it's true in case of South Africa because their weakness is so much more than their strength. The difference is very stark for me.
Please tell us if you all agree with Professor Joyda. Write in, tag DK, Joyda and me, because it's a very interesting debate. I just feel that it's such a tricky one, a big game, a big World Cup game. And
in this Hindi, there's a saying, no, unni speech, it's very close, but that's not the case here. When South Africa bats first, they're a different beast. But you put them in to bowl first. Now here is your chance. Not only before the game starts, psychologically you have one up on them, and that is a good place to be. And that is a decision for Rohit and Rahul Dravid to make, provided, not only Kolkata, but also in time to come. But it looks like a happy problem to have. It's not a bad one to think about it. But yes, I completely agree with you. It's a very, very, it's like between a rock and a hard place for them. So it's going to be an interesting choice.
But we're looking very far ahead, which we'll hold our horses right now, and we'll look at what the dark horses have done in the points table today, because South Africa, who've been the dark horses, have won again by 190 runs, so that net run rate is going to really shoot up. Joyda, once the points table comes, it's all yours, because now everyone has been rooting for this. Right?
Exactly, everyone else has been rooting for this, and I think that is what has happened. I mean, South Africa and India way up there, and of course India's played one match less, but look at that run rate now, South Africa, plus 2290, which means that they will definitely, if India win all their matches, the only way India can unseat them from that place is if they lose or India wins one more match more than them, because catching up that run rate is going to be really, really difficult. So the thing about it is, it means that probably South Africa, India will be first, second, which means that if they have to meet after that, they'll probably meet in the finals. Of course, we're jumping ahead of ourselves. Let's look at the rest of the table, because there's a lot of other interesting things out there. Everyone else was cheering because I think Afghanistan and Pakistan still think now they have a genuine chance of catching up, reaching 8, perhaps 10. And New Zealand, given what are their next two matches? I think there's one against Australia and one against Sri Lanka. So New Zealand will be saying we'll need to beat one big team. Oh, sorry, not Australia. They're playing Pakistan and Sri Lanka.
Yes, Pakistan.
Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Now, Pakistan, New Zealand is like going to be a virtual
quarterfinal.
It's a quarterfinal. It's a virtual knockout, because one of them will go through, the other will be in real trouble.
And for Sri Lanka, is it still a knockout or they're still far away in the...
No,
Sri Lanka is gone, I feel.
Yes.
Is that right?
See, Sri Lanka
they lost the previous game?
They can reach 10. Yeah, they can win all their games. They can reach 10. They have to win all their games. They have to make a lot of run rate up. New Zealand, on the other hand, the thing about New Zealand is, though, they can win one more, lose the other one if not by a big margin, and stay at 10 and hope to get in by run rate as well. But Pakistan, it is more important for Pakistan to beat New Zealand. If New Zealand beats Pakistan, it's a good result for them. But New Zealand loses also, it's not necessarily a knockout. But Pakistan lose to New Zealand, it's a knockout.
So I think it's fair to say you heard it first. South Africa and India have qualified. Is that right?
I mean, I would say technically there may be this thing, there are ways in which somebody scores a lot of run rate and all that. I think you can accept they're 1 and 2. They're going to be 1 and 2.
But DK, a little bit on New Zealand, because we spoke about how they start off well and then they've just tapered down, especially against the bigger teams. We started talking about how it's been either Australia, India, and now South Africa. They've not won against a big team. So even for them, now it goes into just push karke the car might reach home. It feels like that if they qualify.
Second time in 2 World Cups that they've gotten off to a good start, and they seem to falter post that. And what Joyda said as well, against the big teams, they seem to find a way not to carry their form. And that's not a good sign. But interestingly, come the semi-final, they play a brilliant game.
Okay.
So, it's a very interesting team. It's hard to do a study on how they've managed to do it. But what I can say is it's a good team which looked actually invincible at the start. After 4 games, you'll turn around and be like, wow, you know what, that's a serious team. I mean, are they going to be in the semi-finals? For sure. And now suddenly you get these 3 results and you're thinking, wow, what happened suddenly? They've derailed a little bit. They're not playing to their potential, making choices which seem a little, iffy at times. So it's an interesting week for them. They know in many ways the Pakistan game is big. More than that, the Sri Lanka game. I think they'll be really looking at winning one, which should still give them. What is interesting is we're sitting here having a conversation saying, will New Zealand might make it. At the start of the show, I was super confident that, it is going to be the same 4. But because they've lost by such a big margin, and in spite of that, they'll still qualify. Even if they play half a decent game in one of them, they will get through. But going into the semi-finals with that kind of form is a bit touchy. But if at all there's a team which has still managed to put up a good performance, it is New Zealand. So I'm not writing them off. I still feel they are going to be in the semi-final. I don't have any doubts about it. But right now, in the New Zealand camp, there are a few questions there.
Most of the questions, of course, are being asked by the doctor and the physio.
Yeah,
because,
that's a big concern.
That's a big concern. Because I was also thinking that if, for example, if Henry is out, Lockie is out, do they ask for a replacement? Because they really will need at least one more fast bowler.
One more fast bowler, because Ish Sodhi was supposed to come in for someone else, but Jameson comes in, or I don't know who comes in.
I mean, right now you're looking at maybe perhaps Kyle Jameson. Somebody has to come in because there is nobody out here now. If you see, if Matt Henry is out and Lockie Ferguson's out, they will need a third seamer. They'll want to have a third seamer.
I don't think Lockie Ferguson is out because today they were speaking about him passing a fitness test, which means he's close. Otherwise, they wouldn't have a fitness test. The fact that he was, he didn't take the fitness test or they didn't want him to do it today and not expose him says that next match he should be there, I feel.
Should be there. Interesting. But suppose at this stage for you, DK, Henry's ruled out of the tournament. Do you get a substitute?
100%. Jamieson, for sure. If he's ruled out, for sure, take the option of bringing in Kyle Jamieson. The problem becomes when the physio says, maybe I can get him ready in 10 days. Then you have a call to make. Do you want to still hold on to Matt Henry, believing that he'll be ready for semis? Or you say, you know what, I think it's better we get in Jamieson because in case he is not fit during the semis, then we will have a completely new player there. Might as well get him in and probably if he gets an opportunity, we'll play him and make sure he's ready for the semis. So that's the choice that they will have to make. If it is this way or that way in terms of, no, he's not fit, yes, he's definitely fit, then it's an easier decision. If it is an iffy situation in terms of 50-50, maybe in a week, then you have a decision to make.
Yeah, tough decisions to make. And, seriously, in tournaments like this, I cannot tell you how important the physio is because literally the coach is wondering, okay, what is the physio going to tell me today?
True, very true.
Well, there's another physio who has a lot of questions to answer, and that's the Sri Lankan physio because it's almost a competition right now between New Zealand and Sri Lanka who has more injuries in the team, unfortunately. Let's have a look at what happens tomorrow because India is taking on Sri Lanka and this is happening in Mumbai. Like I said, Sri Lanka have a whole lot of concerns with the list of people on their injury list. India, of course, riding high, 6 wins on a trot, seem to be doing everything right up until now. Like, we don't want to jinx anything, but seem to be doing everything right. But Joyda, just because we were on the discussion of injuries, main concern for Sri Lanka, yes, their form hasn't been good. You always wonder which team is going to show up. They beat England, but then they lose to Afghanistan. So you don't know which team is going to show up. So for Sri Lanka, main concern, the injuries?
I think injuries is that, they've looked very good as a side in parts despite those injuries, but they just looked overmatched at this point in time. Perhaps not Hasaranga not being there, a lot of their first choice players not being there. Of course, in some sense, I think Chamira has managed to join them, right?
Yeah.
Which actually happened because one of the players got injured. So Chamira would have been easily a first choice bowler had he been there available at the start of the tournament. So it's gone both ways for them. I think at this point in time, this Sri Lankan side's basic problem is their batting needs to come good again. They had a brief part in the start where their batting really did well even when they were not winning matches. And I think their batting needs to come well.
DK, only Nissanka kind of stood out in the last game, but like Joyda is saying, batting's not really coming to the party, and then of course the injury concerns.
They're a team which is probably confused right now. Look, if you look at how they've gone about things, their find of this tournament has been Sadira Samaravikrama, who's been brilliant.
Absolutely.
Kusal Mendes, again, like Devon Conway, started brilliantly but hasn't had much since the time he's become a captain. Pathum Nissanka, their best find in the last 2 years now. He's been brilliant. He's been the batter of the tournament for them, outstanding. Post that, they've had Charit Asalanka has been very quiet. At number 6, Dhananjaya De Silva has had a very, very ordinary tournament with the bat. Angelo Matthews has just walked in a couple of games ago. Had a good game against England, but a very ordinary game against Afghanistan. And if you see Tikshana, he hasn't been picking wickets for them. The fast bowlers, Dilshan Madhunshankar, the most impressive of them. Kasun Rajata has not been bad. They will now think, should they play Dunit Velalage, thinking India against slow left-arm spin is a good matchup. If they want to do that, they have to either let go of Chamira or Kasun Rajita. That's the choice they have to make. And they are in a very confused state and a tough place right now, because I know deep down they know that they're not going to be able to make it into the semis unless they have 3 brilliant games, because their run rate also is not great. Yes. So, it's going to be a hard ask for them, and they're coming up against the best team in this tournament. So it's going to be one hell of a hard game if they don't turn up tomorrow with the right mindset.
DK, would you play Velalage in Mumbai, given the fact that
it is a hard one. But how I am looking at it is the best matchup. If you're batting first, that's the one bowler who can trouble you. But if you're batting second, it becomes a bit of an issue with the dew. But I would still definitely think about him. He's got, he's bowled well against India in Asia Cup.
Exactly.
He's somebody who's been in good rhythm.
But like De Silva hasn't really gotten the run, so why not play like a Velalage in place of De Silva?
But then, as it is, their batting is doing ordinarily. You remove one more batsman, they're going to be struggling a lot. And their batting has actually been not batting, their middle order batting. Yes. For Dasun Shanaka, Dhananjaya De Silva haven't fired for some time now. Charit has been good pre-World Cup, but in World Cup he's been very okay. Nothing much to write home about. So they have a few questions. They are pretty much in the bottom of the table, and you can understand why. Not bottom, but they are struggling as a team, because when they played England, they felt like a team which could, obviously match up and fight against a few opponents. But they played timid, very ordinary cricket against Afghanistan. They were completely outclassed with bat, ball and field, and that is not a good sign for a team.
Yeah, you know what, Dick has made a very important point that, it's not so much how Velalage, one is the pitch in Wankhede, which plays a particular way. But if India batsman has had a weakness, Velalage bowled very well against India in the Asia Cup. Secondly, India traditionally, which is very surprising because we are considered great players of spin, has been troubled by its left-arm spin. It has been troubled by left-arm spin in the recent past. We haven't really been the best players of left-arm spin, given all the conditions. Now, suppose I am Sri Lanka, okay? I am Sri Lanka. The odds are, say, 20-18 in my favor. I am looking at this team and saying, so what I always believe in is a team who has got a lower chance must throw the game, change the dynamics of the game. So I would bring in a spinner. I would change whatever it takes for me to make this match work. I would bring back Kushal Perera. Because I say that he's had a terrible tournament. But Kushal Perera is a match winner if he can get going. And if he doesn't get going, hey, everyone thinks we're going to lose this match anyway. So I would play out of left feet. I'd bring back Kushal Perera, for whom I'm not sure. But at this point, even Dhananjaya, then he's not bowling that much, but they might. So bring him back, bring in Velalage, change something. Because if everything remains normal, India will win 9 times out of 10. Correct. I have to change something.
So like you said, they need to surprise India, because India seems to just hitting all the right notes and doing everything right. If we have to be like this strict professor and who says that, you've done everything right, but this one thing is not ticking, it probably would be Shreyas has struggled against the short ball. We saw it again in the last match. If at all, because Hardik's not going to be fit for tomorrow's game, I'm presuming. So would you all move Shreyas around at all or still back him against Sri Lanka?
Look, if you're going to get Shreyas out, then who do you want to bring in? That's a question that you have to ask yourself. That at this point, if you see the lineup, the only person who's a natural fit, then you'll have to go with Ishan Kishan, because you're going to bring a batsman in that case. That's your only option. Now, you could do that. But my point is that the way India has played throughout this tournament, their policy has been, this is our team, this is our set team, and we are going with it. The only change that they really made was to accommodate the situation that Hardik Pandya is not there, therefore I have to get a better bowler in. That's all they managed to change. And I think that's the point, that's their template. I think it's a bit early to change Shreyas, and they will try and give him a match against Sri Lanka, definitely.
And we know that Shreyas also likes playing spin. He's used to playing at the Wankhede Stadium. So all this going in favor of him. Like I said, if you just had to be a strict professor, but otherwise, DK, India doing pretty much everything right, and knowing that they're playing against Sri Lanka, who's, well, let's face it, not in the top 4 teams for like when you think of like a South Africa or a New Zealand or an Australia. So Sri Lanka, India already going in confident into tomorrow's game.
Very confident. I mean, they'll be sitting in the trident licking their lips, I'm sure. They'd want to get to that game very, very fast. So it's a game where India will be, I hope India get to bat first, only because I think that's an area they need to be challenged. The last time they batted in Lucknow, when they batted first, there was a bit of, tremors up top before Rohit Sharma again produced a masterclass. But more importantly, the bowling stood out brilliantly. For me, Shreyas Iyer is a player you need to back. I think it's a player that Rohit Sharma will back. It's a player India needs to back. It's a player who, when he bats, can actually give you good results. Yes, the only cause of concern is, is he getting out the same way? But it's okay. Everybody has to get out while batting. It doesn't matter how you get out. It's about what you do when you do well. And I think when he does well, he's able to give you a couple of good results as a batter. He's been someone who's done well in ODI cricket. As a country, as a team, as a nation, I think we need to back the boy. He's a young kid who has the potential to win you matches. Home conditions, Wankhede is born and brought up in Bombay. He'll be looking forward to this. His family will be there watching him. First World Cup game at home. Everything going his way. I have a lot of time for Ishan Kishan, but I think for the moment, I think we should back Shreyas Iyer, and India need to just go and keep doing things like how India is doing right now. They're brilliant to watch. They're playing a beautiful blend of cricket. It's just great to watch them go about things, led by a captain who exactly knows what he wants to be doing every moment during the game, and I don't think you can ask for anything better than that.
All right, so if you have to then ask you all for one key player to watch out for tomorrow, Joyda, please go first.
Look, for me, the talisman of India for this tournament has been Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma is so much of what India is doing, not just in terms of his captaincy, but his batting, but his intent up front, because the way he's batting is freeing up a lot of other players, and I think that is marvelous. For Sri Lanka, for me, always I'll back Kushal Mendis, because it's between Mendis and Pereira, though Pereira may not even play, because I believe that they are game changers on their day. Mendis on his day can tear up an attack and hit 150 and change a game. And I believe that if they have to really challenge India, somebody has to play out of their skin.
DK, for you?
Sri Lanka, Pathum Nissanka, India, Shubman Gill.
Crisp and clear. He had complete clarity, and we'll see tomorrow, DK, because like I said, our predictions have been dismal, completely dismal.
She is throwing you under this thing. I'm saying she's going to be there tomorrow and saying, what is this? Remember this, DK, what he said again? He's got it wrong.
Nissanka, if he gets off, yesterday when Dinesh said it,
you'll probably be in commentary then. Oh God.
No, but now I'm not. Like I said, I'm a team player. Yeah? I wanted someone from our team.
I don't think everybody in the studio agrees.
No. Okay. I'm a team player, but this player needs to be thrown up.
Okay. Well, Joyda, we need to now throw the answers to your question. So let's have a look at it.
Okay, here's the question coming up. Okay. These are players in a specific list. Which current World Cup player is the latest, though he may exit this list in the future? And that was the hint. That basically these are all players who have captained India for just one test match. Obviously, the last of them is Jasprit Bumrah. But hopefully he will add that to his list. So, which is why we said that though he's there in the list, he may exit the list as well. So that's the answer, Jasprit Bumrah.
And we've got a winner, of course, because we got tagged in a whole lot of people who...
Darshan Nair has also answered lots of questions. All we know about him is that he's probably
From
24, and probably 24 years old.
Oh, the 99.
99, yeah.
He's making a quiz out of even the names now. So I think we need to stop Joyda, because he's now making quizzes from Twitter handles and Twitter names. So I think this is the time, DK.
We make a quick exit, and there's a reason why DK has to make an even quicker exit than everyone else.
We spoke about Hot Wheels and cars zooming up and down. So that's the connection for most people who... it's a trick question. Again, it's a joy factor. Second question of the day. Why does DK need to go back early? We'll wait for the answers, DK.
Sure, we'll wait.
We'll wait for some creative answers.
Sayami, Dinesh and Joyda.
All right, but thank you very, very much. Always so much fun. Again, DK, it's just so beautiful. Joyda and I were talking about this also. Just to listen to you give this masterclass on analysis and how... I'm sure Bolt heard us. Which is why he came and said, I'll change things around. So whenever we need someone to improve a little bit and come, we get DK to give his analysis. Joyda, I'll be seeing you tomorrow. And DK will be zooming past somewhere, but we'll see DK very soon.
And hoping that Nissanka doesn't get out.
So we will see y'all tomorrow at 1:30 because India take on Sri Lanka in Mumbai. It's going to be exciting. It always is when India plays the World Cup, and when there's a game in Mumbai, it's even more exciting. So I'll see you tomorrow at 1:30. Don't forget to join us. Good night and goodbye.